Check 1, 2.
Go!
Curious about real estate?
Yes!
Then you've come to the right place. Get the knowledge you need, get over the fear, and get started. This is the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show with your host, Michael Quarles.
Hello, everybody. Michael Quarles with Podcast 51. Today's podcast, we have 5 investor questions coming from investors who sent their questions to support at bsffacademy.com. And here we go. But before I start, let me put a shout out to those 3 terrific investors that I had on Podcast 50. Man, oh man, that was a blast. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Thank you, Stephen Washington, Tom Kroll, and Gabriel Contreras. You guys are awesome. Here we go. Question number 1. How does an investor go about choosing a listing agent? Does the listing agent need to be a superstar? Or is the fact that it's listed in the MLS by an active licensed realtor enough? In other words, does the effectiveness come from listing agents or the selling buyer's agent? Well, here's the deal. We know, without a doubt, the MLS is what it takes to get houses sold. Because that's where most of the people, 92% of the folks out there, they buy a house using the realtor who goes to the MLS, finds them in a house, shows them a house, sells them a house. But here's the other side of that fence. When we are, especially when we are starting out, when we need so much, we don't even know what we don't know. It's so important to have a terrific real estate agent, because if we don't, man, we're just going to get in our own way. We need a little bit of direction from some of these folks. We need them to be able to afford us. I don't know if that makes any sense, but we need to find an agent who can afford what it's going to take for them to do business with us in the beginning. Because we're going to say all kinds of silly things, make mistakes, assume the wrong thing. We need a guy or a gal that knows that's what's going to happen. They can afford us. They can put an assistant with us. They can help us. They can help us get CMAs. They can help us understand the market conditions. They can help us by, when we have a property that we want to buy, they can tell us what it's going to be worth when we resell it. All that kind of good stuff. How do you find that person? That's the key to this whole thing. Here's what I want you to do. If you're in an escrow state where you have escrow companies, I want you to call the largest escrow company in your city. First American Title, Fidelity, Chicago, Ticor, whatever they are. I want you to ask for the sales manager. That person's job is to make sure that sales gets done for that business. You introduce yourself as Michael Quarles with I Buy Houses. I'm looking to establish a relationship with a title escrow company. Can you refer me to a sales rep? He or she is going to say absolutely, and they're going to assign you to someone whose responsibility it is to make sure you have what you need so that you can do business with that title escrow company. Then the question you have for that person is, can you give me a short list of 5 real estate agents, realtors, brokers associates, who work with investors and are investor friendly and are top producers? Well, naturally, that person is going to want to give you someone to promote them to that agent. So they're going to be really nice. They're going to say, oh yeah, I have these 5 people. They're really awesome. But by the way, let them know that I sent you, which is perfect. So you're going to start interviewing those 5 people. And one of the ways you can interview them is silently. You can actually go to the realtor magazines that you find at the gas stations and the AM/PMs and 7-Elevens, those kinds of things. Get one of those realtor magazines and see if those 5 people that rep told you about are in there. If they are, then they're all 5 powerhouse people, and then start having a conversation with them. Just start talking to them. There's a script that we have at the Academy that you go through to find the agent that you're going to be working with. It's real good, powerful stuff. You absolutely ought to do it. And once you find the agent that you can work with and who can afford you, here's the thing you want to ask them, okay? Here's the thing you want to ask them. Mr. or Mrs. Agent, I notice that you take out a full-page ad in the realtor magazines. Can I put my business card in the corner of one of those ads right next to the lender ad that's there, right next to the termite company ad that's there? Can I put my card there that says I buy houses, and everything I buy, I will list with you? Guess what? They just might say yes. That's a cool thing. They might say, no, I can't, but if you want to spend $100, you can. Well, spend the darn $100. Man, if you can get your face or your ad in front of all those people looking for houses, because I know people that are looking for houses are looking to sell houses too. That's a really good thing. Now, if you get the agent says, nope, not going to help you that way, he's not your agent. Kick him to the curb. Find the agents that are going to help you, that can afford to help you and promote you. So, an agent's great. The MLS is what's going to sell it. But you want to use the agent, a powerhouse agent. Here's the other thing that they do. Man, I can beat myself up all the time about this one. They won't let you overlist your house. They're not going to succumb to some pressure from some property owner that says, well, I think my house is worth $300, and they know it's only worth $275. They're not going to list your house for $300. They're doing you a service by not letting you overlist your house. Because they're a powerful agent, they go, no. And you go, okay. And when they tell you no, you should ask them why. And if it's a reasonable response, trust them. They're in the business of selling houses. The faster you can sell your house, the more money you'll make per year. Okay? So believe in agents. Understand what they do. Trust them. Honor them. Find the great ones. Work with the great ones. Question number 2. I can understand why someone would consider a sub-2 transaction if they had little equity or facing foreclosure. But why would someone with massive amounts of equity go along with this type of transaction? Why wouldn't they just sell the property 100% as is value themselves or through a realtor? Okay. All right. Great question. Let me give you the answers. Because the Superior Court judge didn't want anybody to know the house he sold, his dad lived in. Because the people that sold their house, they didn't want anybody to know that their house was actually a porn studio, internet porn studio. It's because the mom didn't want anybody to know that her son was beating her up. It's because the husband didn't want anybody to know that the wife was beating him up. It was because the relatives didn't want anybody to know how their relative lived. It's because the doctor said, you're having back surgery in a week, you're not going to be able to use that 2-story house. And you have a week to get rid of it. I can go on and on and on and on and on why people have motivation to sell their house at a discount, even subject to or seller financing. Here's what you as an investor have to do. This just friggin' frustrates me. You have to believe. If you don't believe that it can be done, you're right. Those of us that do it day in and day out, we actually believe we can do it, and therefore we do it. If you're a doubter, that's what you are. If you know you can do something, then that's what you are. You're a doer. Doubters doubt, doers do. Which one of the side of the fences do you want to be on? Don't come to me and ask me something that's so silly, and I've almost done 1,000 of these things, and tell me it can't be done or why it can't be done. I know it can be done. Just believe it can be done and go out and do it. Don't worry about why someone should do something. Just go out and do it. My goodness. My blood pressure's higher now.
Thanks for listening to Buy, Sell, Fix, Flip. We'll be right back. Are you running out of leads? It's time you tried Yellow Letters at yellowletters.com. Get motivated seller leads through Yellow Letters, postcards, zip letters, typed professional letters, greeting cards, door hangers, and business cards. Yellow Letters is a full-service marketing company created with your success in mind. Get the personal attention you need to get your direct mail campaign started and get in touch at yellowletters.com.
And we are back in 3, 2, 1.
Question number 3. Starting off, my marketing budget will be limited to $500 a month. Are there enough prospects for your business model at this level of marketing to have a consistent business? Or will it take too long to find a seller to close a deal at this level? Well, it's a great question. $500 isn't a lot of money. And unless you only have $100, then it's a lot of money. You do not need a single dollar to market with once you buy your business cards and your polo shirts. Business cards over at Yellow Letters, what, $20, $30, something like that. Polo shirts, you can get them for $35 somewhere. That's how I buy houses on them. If you just put that shirt on, carried around those business cards, and gave them to every single person in your vision path, and introduced yourself as an investor and asked them who do they know that's looking to sell a house. Tell them that you buy houses from this kind of person, that kind of person, another kind of person, another kind of person, another kind of person. If you just did it, if you called all of your family and friends, all the people that you pay, your gardeners, your masseuses, or whoever they are, if you just told them that you're a real estate investor and asked them who do they know, tell them to pass it on. Man, if you start shouting out to everybody that you're a real estate investor, you'll absolutely have opportunity. And then as you have opportunity, then you're going to have a growth pattern. Remember, the amount of money that we want to make, we're going to multiply that by 10%. We're going to add it to that amount. The amount that the house sells for, we're going to multiply that by 8.25% and add that to the amount of money we want to make plus that 10%. We're going to subtract those numbers, assuming there's no repairs required, from the value of the property, and that's the offer we're going to give the seller. When we do that, and we do this consistently, magic's going to happen because we're forcing our marketing. So in the beginning, you can absolutely do it. You don't need a single dollar. But as you do it, you should start figuring in and calculating an advertising dollar that you're going to spend for the next deal, and then for the next deal, and then for the next deal. And guys and gals, I hate saying it, but you know what? If you have $500 or $1 or $10 or whatever it is, and it takes you a year to buy a house that you make $50,000 on, so what? Man, it's $50,000. Take $5,000 of that, that's 10%, and put it back in marketing. Do it smart. And then you're going to buy a couple more houses. Put those 10% back into marketing. You're going to buy more houses and more houses. But don't ever give up the fact that you're going to meet and greet all those cold calls. I call them cold strangers, where you're just cold greeting. You're talking to people you don't know. You're talking to people you do know. You're talking to your center of influence. Don't ever give that up. That should be a big part of what we do, even if we have all the marketing dollars in the world. But yeah, it absolutely can. And you know what? Here's the thing. If you want to be a real estate investor, just start. Just go out tomorrow and say, I'm going to get some cards. I'm going to spend $30, $40. I'm going to get a $35 polo shirt. I'm going to wash that thing every day. And I am going to now be a real estate investor. And there, of course, you could say, Mike, but I don't know what I'm doing. How can I be a real estate investor if I don't know what I'm doing? Folks, this isn't, rocket science, not brain surgery. It's not that tough, okay? If I can do it, most people can do it. So just understand, set yourself up, get some contracts, go online, find some contracts. Even if it's the worst agreement in the world, it's still an agreement that we can use for you to make money. You can still get it signed. You can still go to escrow. You can still close. Well, I don't have any money, Mike. I don't have any money to market. How can I get money to buy a house? Well, read some books. Listen to these podcasts about how seller financing, sub-2 financing works. Get some options going. Understand that once you lock up the property, you have the right to sell it. Don't let obstacles get in your way. Tear those obstacles down. Man, don't let anything stop you. If you want to be successful, be successful. Question number 4. An attorney I met with suggested using a state-specific form and then adding any desired addendums to the contract rather than drafting, modifying the custom agreement. What are your thoughts? Well, I have 2 thoughts. 1, I use a 9-page, personally created agreement to buy houses because I have yet to find an agreement that is state-specific and what they're talking about, like the realtor contracts, those kinds of things, that protects the buyer. I want to protect the buyer. I'm the buyer. So I want to have things in there like liquidated damages. I want to have things in there like extended inspection periods. I want to have things in there like the deposits are considerations to pay. and their promises to pay. So I don't have to put them in escrow until I close escrow. I want things like to tell the seller that I'm going to make a huge amount of money. I want little things like I'm going to put a for sale sign in your front yard the next day and put it on the MLS. I want little things in there that say I can sign the contract. I want all kinds of stuff in my contract because we deal with strange individuals on occasion or strange situations. And those situations cause people to not be themselves because of fear of loss or fear of something or whatever it is, causes them to make panic judgments, which they shouldn't make. Well, my contract allows them to not do that. It keeps them in the game. I'm in California as a broker. I can use the California Association Realtor contract, which I do on my resales. And the reason I do that on my resales is because I know the broker that's representing the buyer is going to require that document. And that document's fine for me as a resale because I already own the property. I'm not really trying to protect a lot kind of stuff. And, we're going to do a TDS, which is transfer disclosure, and we're going to do all those kinds of things and all the other disclosures. And it's just a different mind frame when you're selling over when you're buying. Because I know what I'm doing as a seller, so I can use the car contract. But I'm always going to use mine. And any attorney that you go to, man, you've got to make sure that they're the right attorney. I mean, it's kind of like when you go to a doctor, you have your general practitioner, the guy that checks your temperature and all that kind of good stuff. And then if you needed heart transplant surgery, that probably would be a different doctor. Well, that's kind of what we have to do when we start talking to attorneys. We have to make sure that we're speaking to a very specific type of an attorney, someone that has a lot of Department of Real Estate and real estate law experience and contract experience. So it's just not every attorney. Just because an attorney is an attorney doesn't mean they know what we need them to know. So when you're interviewing those folks and talking to those folks, make sure you're talking to the right ones. But now I'm going to use my 9-pager all day long. Question number 5. Working capital will be tight starting off. Outside of marketing, what other expenses should I be prepared for? CRM, phone, fax, closing costs, holding costs, mortgage payments, inspections, etc. This may not be a fair question as it probably varies, but do you recommend having a certain amount of reserves? Yes and no. You don't need reserves for mortgage payments, inspections, closing costs, holding costs until you have opportunity. And then depending on what kind of reserves you have is how you would present that opportunity. So as an example, if you don't have money for closing, then you wouldn't negotiate buyer pays all closing costs. You would negotiate seller pays all closing costs. So from that perspective, no, you don't need those things. From a perspective of needing phones and faxes, we don't use faxes anymore. Yeah, you're going to need some for that. Myself personally, I have a Skype line. I have a Skype recorder. I know those are like $70 a year. I have Ring Central, and on my Ring Central, I have, I think, like 18 phone numbers. And then I have 5 soft stations. And I think that bill is probably $300 or so a month. And then I have a CRM program. I use Infusionsoft, and it's expensive. And then I have I think it's like, gosh, don't hold me to this number, but it's somewhere around that 500-ish range kind of thing. And then I have my board of realtors dues kind of stuff, and they're like $200 every quarter kind of thing, plus an annual fee. Then I have my text site. I use a text service on all my advertising for people to text, and that actually works well. So, there's 100 and so there. Gosh, there's something missing. Oh, rent. So I have an office complex, and that costs me thousands of dollars. But there's going to be some stuff that you need, kind of stuff, cell phones, that kind of thing. It's not heavy because most people won't have the type of business I have, when they get started. So, if we look at it basically, you're going to have your cell phone, $100 a month probably. You're going to have your Ring Central on 6 lines dialing to a cell phone or some other service. That's probably going to be $100 maybe, or not quite maybe. So there's $200. Your Skype's going to be, like I said, $60 a year. So let's say that's $5 a month. So maybe for a couple $100, you're going to be set up on a monthly stuff to run your business. And of course, you need your business cards and Talked about that earlier in your polo shirts and that kind of stuff. Contracts, which is, copy paper kind of thing. But you can get in this business relatively pretty conservatively. I think today's questions had a lot to do with just starting, beginning, fear. I always tell people, I'm afraid to not do it. Like someone says, well, comes to me and says, Mike, I'm afraid that I'll fail. And I have that same phrase, I'm afraid that I'll fail, which is why I do it. Some people are so afraid to fail, they don't do it. But man, if life sucks already, and the only thing you can do is make it better by starting and jumping into the game, start. And then, as you go, listen to these podcasts. We're going to have them, a lot of them. They'll help you once you get to the point where if you need a coach, man, I have a good coaching program. But just start. The beauty of, and I'm sorry I'm taking a long time on this one, the beauty of being a real estate investor is just enormous. It's friggin' awesome. It is absolutely awesome to be a real estate investor. Man, we can do so many great things for so many great people beyond just buying houses. So go kill a house. Go start being a real estate investor. Jump. And to the person that asked me the question about sub 2, I'm sorry if I got a little excited, but I just, I'm so passionate about this business because I know so many people need to be investors. So many people need the paradigm shift that comes from massive income. That if you just knew it was possible, if you just believed it was possible, if you could just taste it and touch it and feel it and hug it and love it the way I do, man, your life would be such a great life. Just start. Thanks so much, guys. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show. Get more info and stay in touch at michaelquarles.com.